TV. Now, it is no surprise to anyone that Mississippi's jam-packed with good musicians and songwriters. We get to celebrate those with the Mississippi Songwriter Festival, and the Delta edition is coming up this weekend. And joining us today, Miss Tricia Walker, is to tell us a little bit more. Hey, Miss Tricia.
Hello, how are you? I love that intro music, man. I'm smiling already.
And well, hats off to Rhino. He's the musician around here, and he does such a good job, as you guys do too, to sort of bring this festival, I think, around the state. You'll try to do different regions, but it's the Delta edition this time. Am I right with that, Tricia?
That is correct. You know, the parent organization, the Mississippi Songwriters Association, is located on the coast. And the Delta edition, we're the first satellite festival, and then there are other ones that are popping up around the state. One's going to be Oxford, Meridian. I believe Natchez is planning one, but we jumped on the bandwagon first here in the Delta, and we're proud of that.
Do you feel like the same with the culinary and the food and sort of the culture that's in the different regions, that the songwriters that they bring out to the different festivals in the different places have its own kind of like style and flavor as well? Does it kind of change depending on, where you are in the state?
That's a good question. There's no doubt, just because we're in the Delta, I'm sure that the blues and the history of the blues certainly influences our writers in this region. But, the thing about songwriters all over the state, anywhere, they really are just great storytellers. So it depends on what kind of music they put behind it. But their strong point is really telling stories so that people can get up there and sing them on stage.
Well, and clearly it's a hit because you guys are having the opportunity to host it in different places. If you build it, they will come. So what's the idea behind the festival? This is geared towards those who like to write music, but also those who are sharing their works that they write. So they're musicians in their own right. So how does this festival kind of work, Tricia?
Well, we're going to kind of set it up like the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, although we are going to be outside. This year we're having it. Our host venue is Grammy Museum, Mississippi. Duh, makes a whole lot of sense. And so we're going to have in the rounds, which are 3 or 4 songwriters sitting in a circle, playing their original songs on both Friday and Saturday nights, beginning at 6:30 on the porch at Grammy Museum, Mississippi. It's a real intimate type of environment. It's not a big show with big sound and big lights. These are men and women who try to get those feelings out on paper and share those songs with us. Some songwriters are not necessarily great singers and performers, but they know how to put words and music together to make you cry or make you dance. So that's what it's about. It's really supporting these songwriters because, like I always say, my sermon has always been, it all begins with a song. Nothing else in the music business can possibly happen until a songwriter sits down and writes a great song.
And I would think that for a songwriter, one of the most anxious times would be sharing that works for the very first time. So for some of these artists, is this the first time they're letting their creativity, like this particular song, not any creativity, but out to the public to sort of see how they respond or feel?
Yeah, I hope we get some new songs. Most of these writers have certainly played before and performed before, but you're absolutely right. When you're in that intimate, in-the-round setting and you've got a new song you want to kind of test out on your buddies and an audience, this is the place to do it. And I can guarantee you there'll be a little bit of nerves when people put that new song out there for people to hear for the first time.
Even after all these years, Tricia, do you still get nervous the first time you let one of your babies out into the world for the first time?
Yeah, because, just like your babies, you want everybody to love them. And sometimes your baby might not be as cute as you think it is. But then it's great satisfaction when you play it and you get the response that you're looking for, and you think, okay, I did my job. I nailed it. So it's exciting.
And I think, too, for music lovers, this opportunity to hear such acoustic as well as just in-person music is going to be a different experience than if you went to an all-out concert or heard another artist singing one of the songs. It would be a completely different opportunity. Who are the artists that are coming or the writers that you will have this coming up weekend, Tricia?
Well, we always have a featured round, and this year it's going to be myself and Sean Gassaway from Nashville, and then our old Delta buddy, John Mohead. So we're going to be in a round Saturday night at 7:30. And then the other rounds are made up of our local and regional songwriters that live and work in the Delta. We've got a few coming over from Oxford, a couple are coming up from Jackson, a couple of folks are coming up from the coast. And so people may have heard these names locally around town. We do hope they'll come out and support them, because like I say, it's a different kind of show. We hope for people that really enjoy good stories told, just simply with a guitar or piano. There's just nothing like it. It's about the most intimate exchange, I think, between a songwriter and an audience that you can have.
And I think the best venue, right? The Grammy Museum right there in Cleveland on the front patio.
Absolutely.
Or is it going to be the front patio, or will it be like the audience meet in the front courtyard or the grass space there? Like, set that stage for us, Tricia.
Oh no, we're gonna be on the front porch. The front porch is very large, and we've got plenty of room to set up our songwriters in the round, and then we'll have audience tables around our circle, and we'll have concessions and food and drink available, and very low key. Like I say, it's not like a performing arts center show. It's much more like your living room.
For aspiring songwriters, would this be a great event for them to come out and just maybe meet, network, even though that may not be the whole purpose of it, but just kind of come and listen and be able to shake a hand or two?
Well, no, actually, you've nailed it. One of our real purposes is for the songwriters to network with each other. Songwriters, by nature, we kind of tend to be lone rangers, and we don't always have our tribe together. And so one of the real purposes of this is to not only expose the songwriters to a larger audience, but for them to get to know each other, particularly those from other parts of the state. And we've got a couple of workshops on Saturday morning when you talk about aspiring songwriters. Part of the thing that's so important to know these days is just some basic information about your own intellectual property. How do you get your songs out there on streaming platforms? How do you get your songs maybe in film or TV or on the internet? And we've got some educational opportunities on Saturday as part of the festival for people who want to attend those.
What do we need to buy tickets for, Tricia? What would we need to think about in advance before we make our trip to Cleveland?
Well, the great thing is the songwriter rounds on Friday or Saturday night are free and open to the public, no charge for that. Again, there'll be concessions, so if you want to buy some food and drink, but there's no charge to come to the shows on Friday and Saturday night. Our workshops, though, those are a cost involved. They are $20 a workshop, or 2 workshops for $30. And all that information is on the website for the Mississippi Songwriters Association, which is msafestival.org, msafestival.org, and then click on the Delta region, and that'll take you to the schedule lineup. That'll take you to where you can register for the workshops, and you can see all the pictures of the writers that are going to be there and learn a little bit about what's going to be happening.
I think that's very reasonable, Tricia. I was not expecting 20 for one workshop or 2, or 30 for 2. And I think for parents listening too, if you've got those teens or young adults that are still interested in music, these are those great opportunities for you to take them to Cleveland, let them listen, and maybe do a workshop and see, is this really something they want to pursue or do? Would that be like a fair audience to come as well for the workshops, Tricia? Or are y'all looking for more of those that are already at that realm of like putting something out?
Oh, no, we welcome any and all comers, particularly young writers. There's one extra workshop that is associated with the festival that the Mississippi Songwriters Alliance is putting on. That's going to be Saturday morning for middle school and high school students.
Wow.
At our public library here in Cleveland, and there's no charge for that. It'll be from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m., and Sean Gassaway, one of our guests, is going to lead that. The Songwriters Alliance has partnered with the statewide library network to try to put these songwriting workshops into public libraries. And again, on the msafestival.org site, you can find information about that particular program in case somebody wants to bring it to their town.
How old was Tricia when she realized she had a song in her heart she needed to get out? Were you middle school?
I'm sorry, say again?
In middle school, did Tricia know that she was going to be a songwriter?
In middle school, Tricia was probably writing what looked like average poetry, but, about the time I got to high school and heading into college was when Carole King and James Taylor and all those guys sort of rocked my world, and I thought, you can put music to words and make a song. There you go. That's what I want to do.
Pretty cool. Okay, where do we go again for all this great information?
You bet. The website is msafestival.org, msafestival.org, and then click on the link. You'll see a link that says Live Events Delta Region, and that'll have all of our information.
Well, I appreciate you. Don't wait too long to come back and visit with us, okay?
You betcha. I'll be back soon.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you.